My total word count right now is sitting at 91,637. Now I've kind of tied everything back together. It's a clear shot to the end. I am so close to 100,000 words. Hello and welcome to a weekend writing vlog. It has been a minute since I did a weekend writing vlog, and I decided to do one this weekend because I have the time and the energy for it. So here we are. It has been quite a few days since my 5,000 word day. It has been 4 days. Today is day 5. And I haven't been super productive since then. It's been so disappointing. I had a 1,000 word day, a 100 word day yesterday, 2 days ago was a 2,700 word day. That's pretty good. And last night was 460. Last night I had a lot of things to do yesterday and it just didn't work out. I also had a malfunction with my washing machine. So instead of writing in the evening, I was wringing clothes out in the shower for a long period of time. It was very unpleasant. But anyway, I digress. So my total word count right now is sitting at 91,637. I've said this before and I will say it again. This is gonna be the longest book ever. I'm still in the beginning of Act 3 and my goal was to have this novel be at around 100,000 words. And it is gonna be so much more than that. My goal for this weekend is to really make a lot of progress on Act 3. I've been stalling out a little bit. Also, Act 3, where I'm moving into parts that I added to the story. I replotted my whole story, and this is kind of moving into an aspect that is brand new. Even though Act 2 is pretty much brand new, the beginnings of Act 3 are also brand new. And it's going to take a little bit of energy and creative energy for me to really figure out how to write what I've decided like the plot is going to be. So it is Friday afternoon, the perfect time to start a weekend writing vlog. And I wanted to start in the afternoon because I actually have some plans a little bit later in the evening. So I will not be able to have like a full writing evening after dinner like I typically like to do. I will still have time to write, but it will probably only be like 1 to 2 hours instead of like the 3 to 4 hours I can sometimes get in the evening. I have a fun event planned for tonight. Is actually draft night for my fantasy football league. I am still in the fantasy football league for my former employer. My friends needed an extra person and they said, hey, would you still want to join the fantasy football league? And I said, absolutely. Fun fact, I do not watch football, so I'm just in it for the fun. And I won it the first year we did it. I won it. Last year I did terribly. So this year I'm going back for my crown. But anyway, draft is tonight, so I need to stop writing and prepare for that. I also have a few different fun things planned to make a little event out of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and write for a few hours. I'm hoping I get in at least 1 solid straight hour of no interruptions, and then I will need to stop for dinner and for the draft. I will catch back up with you maybe during or after the draft. We'll see what happens. I'll let you know how my short afternoon writing session sprint is going. Hello, it is dinner time and I am making kind of a Super Bowl themed dinner for my NFL fantasy football draft. It's going to be just a little treat, a little something different to kind of celebrate the draft, and hopefully I get some good players. I'm putting my apron on because there is tomato sauce involved. You know how that stuff likes to travel. Hopefully the sound is okay. I'm in my kitchen. I don't think I've ever recorded in here before, but I wanted to kind of show you some of the stuff I'm making for tonight and talk about my book. This afternoon I wrote 420 words. Not spectacular. I was having a little bit of problems focusing as usual. I'll get through it. I've had some stuff on my mind, which maybe someday we'll talk about, but not right now. So I've got cheese sticks, and this is gonna be like my big treat. So the oven gets set to 450. And I just realized you're probably gonna hear whining in the background. That is my stove. So sorry. Drink of choice tonight is this rosé, and I am a sucker for cute wine labels. So we've got rosé with sheep on it. I think it's super cute. It's called The Little Sheep from France. To go with my wine, I also got potato chips. And you know you're in New England when Lay's remakes the potato chip bag to be the Boston Red Sox logo. It's great. So I'm just gonna have my cheese sticks, my wine, and my chips. That's probably enough. I might have some chips and salsa as well. Pouring the rosé. Oops, I don't know if that's a good pour or not. I think it is. Cheers. I just saw some olives and carrots in the refrigerator, so I'll probably have some of those too. Gotta incorporate your veggies. So writing's been going pretty slow. It's usual. I'm getting a little stuck on this third draft because it's new and I've already changed kind of directions from my outline a little bit. I made like a course correction, I guess you could say. Halfway through the book, I changed it a little bit. So I think I'm struggling because it's like another plot to this book. So I'm trying to work through that, but I think I'll get there. It's just taking a little bit of extra thought. So I'm gonna go ahead and get dinner ready, and then it's gonna be time for the draft. And then after the draft, I will write, and then I will catch back up with you at the end of the night. Good evening. Well, I was not as productive today as I had hoped to be, and I almost kind of expected it, to be honest. Let's see, tonight I wrote 1,200 words, and since I wrote I think it was 400 words, I didn't keep track, but I think it was 400 words before dinner in the draft. And so that means afterwards, I wrote about 800 words. Not fantastic, but it is what it is. The draft took longer than I expected simply because I couldn't remember how long a draft took. It's been a year since I did a draft and it took quite a long time. So I did not get to sit down and write until almost 9 p.m. So I didn't have a lot of time to write tonight, honestly. And I ended writing a little early so I could do, like earlier this afternoon, so I could do a little bit of chores around the house before I made dinner. So I didn't get around to writing much today. One thing I will say is that I generally allocate every night to writing. And what I have noticed, especially after the last week, is that because I wait until the night to write, if something pops up and it interferes with my writing time at night, it's like lost time. I can't make up for it. Like tonight, the draft took longer than expected. I lost some time. Can't make up for it. Last night with the washing machine, something happened. I lost time, couldn't make up for it. It's got me thinking that even though I allocate like around 3 hours per night for writing, that maybe I should start allocating even like a half hour in the mornings or the afternoons at some point, just to ensure that I get a word count on the table for the day. And that way, if something pops up later at night, I don't feel as bad that I didn't get something done. Because I feel like over the last few days, this has been the main problem, is something has popped up that's actually preventing me from writing. I will say I don't get really disappointed when stuff like that happens because it happened, right? I get disappointed when I sit down for 3 hours and I only write like 1,000 words because what is going on in my head that I can't write more than that. But if something happens and I lose an hour of time, then I can only write 1,000 words, then it's not that bad because I tried my best. Situations didn't work into my advantage that night. So I'm trying to think about like, is there a way that I can minimize essentially the risk of waiting to write every night, and maybe just allocating a little bit of time every morning will ensure that I get the word count to like have something on paper every day. So that's something I'm thinking about. We'll see if I implement it or not. But overall, I'm happy with what I was writing tonight. I feel like I got back in the groove, and I'm back kind of like partially into the outline, my original index card outline and chapter by chapter outline, but also trying to incorporate like this new little plot thing I added. So I'm just at that point where I'm trying to merge the two, because I felt like, I didn't talk about this before, but over the last, I'd say 10 to 20,000 words that I wrote for this draft, I felt like my plots were diverging, and now I feel like they're coming back together. And once they're back together, I'll feel a lot better, and then I can play around with it in like the third draft to make it more cohesive and to like sync the plots up a little bit. But things are going pretty smoothly, you know, with my writing. I wasn't, at least tonight, I wasn't feeling really stuck. I, you know, was pretty productive with my writing, and I'm happy with it. Tomorrow, I am gonna set a goal for tomorrow and Sunday to do at least 2,000 words per day. I didn't set that goal for today just because I knew I had the draft, and I knew that logistically it may be impossible for me to meet that goal. And I was right, because I wrote, can't even remember, 1,200 words. I knew it was going to be very unlikely for me to meet 2,000 words. So that's going to be my goal for Saturday and Sunday. Tonight I ended at 92,800 words, so that's like practically 93. If I add 4,000, that would be 97,000. So there is a chance that this weekend I reach 100,000 words. And that would be pretty incredible, honestly. 100,000 words is supposed to be the length of a fantasy novel, adult fantasy, which is what I'm writing. And mine is definitely going to be longer than that, because I'm close to 100,000 words, and I am like at the beginning of Act 3 still. But I think 100,000 words is a milestone nonetheless. I wrote 50,000 words, and now I'm writing 100,000 words, and who knows how many more words this will be after that. So we'll see if I reach 100,000 words this weekend. That would be really, really interesting. So tomorrow, I don't have tons of plans. I have something I want to do. We're going to see if I end up doing it, because there is some timing associated with it. So I got to get my butt out of bed. But otherwise, I will see you tomorrow, and I will let you know more tomorrow about what the plans are for the day and how the writing is going. Evening. It has been a little bit of an unexpected day. I ended up not writing anything this morning, which was a surprise to me, because I know last night I talked about how I needed to start writing in the morning. But what happened was I wanted to go for a walk, and that was always in the plan. However, when I was walking, I wasn't paying attention to the time, and I ended up going on an hour-and-a-half walk. So that took pretty much my whole morning. And then I got back, and it was so close to lunchtime that it wasn't really worth trying to get in the groove of writing. I did write about 1,100 words this afternoon. It wasn't a lot because I had something I needed to do this afternoon, and I knew that was going to cut into my writing time. Like, that was a given. So again, the low word count was expected. I am going to write for the rest of the night tonight, and I'm hoping I can add at least another 1,000 words, preferably closer to 2,000. So if I could hit 3,000 for the total day today, I think that would be amazing. But we'll see what happens. I'm at this point in the story where things are like, I had these two plot points that kind of like fell apart from each other, and now I'm trying to get them back together, and I kind of made them diverge a little bit again this afternoon, unfortunately. So I need to bring them back together. And so that's gonna be my main goal tonight. And then hopefully I'll get back on track for finishing the novel. I can't remember my total word count, but I think I'm over 93,000 words. So this book is getting larger by the second, but that's okay. It's a second draft and it doesn't have to be perfect yet. So I'm gonna settle in for the evening and start writing, and I will talk to you later this evening. I'm done for the evening. I had a really productive evening. So today in total, I wrote 2,600 words, and I already can't remember how many I wrote this afternoon. I think it was around 1,000, which means I wrote about 1,500 words tonight, which is really great. And so I have ended the evening at 95,500 words, which is so close to 100,000. I think earlier I said I had just passed 93,000, and when I looked at it after I was talking, I had actually just passed 94,000. I have just gotten to the part, I'm actually really proud of myself. I managed to merge the two plot lines this evening, and I'm really, really happy with where the rest of the story is going. It's kind of back on track, and what's interesting is I had an idea while I was writing, so like in the last chapter, I had an idea of how to kind of bring everything together. And so that was the chapter I wrote today, tonight was everything coming together. So the chapter I am currently writing is chapter 44. It's not done yet. I only wrote like the first 2 or 3 pages of it. And this is the start of the climax of the novel. Things are getting really interesting. It's very fast paced. There's a lot of action. And I find when I have those scenes that are really fast paced with a lot of action, I'm just able to write them a lot more quickly. And I think it's because there's so much going on and I just want to write it all down. So tomorrow the plan is definitely to keep writing this chapter and this scene in the book. This is going to be, I honestly haven't even thought about it. It's probably going to be about 2 or 3 chapters to wrap up this whole event. And again, because it's like the biggest event in the whole book, or it should be. Other events I have earlier on in the book are much longer, which is my fault. But because this is supposed to be the big event, I'm willing to make it like 2 or 3 chapters. It needs that for what's going to happen. So that'll probably be what I work on tomorrow, and the only thing I work on tomorrow. The big question tomorrow is how many words am I going to write? And I don't know. I don't know what my plans are tomorrow. I got really behind. I don't want to say behind, but I had a lot of extra things pop up today that prevented me from writing. And usually when that happens, I like to double down the next day and work really hard on it. But I just don't know if I will, because I have other things I need to do tomorrow as well. But that is life. I'm at least really happy with what I did tonight. I'm really excited about the direction this book is going. I've been honestly not feeling it for the last few chapters. Now I am. I feel like I'm back on track, and I'm excited to keep writing it tomorrow. Good afternoon. I've gotten a little bit later of a start than I wanted, but it is what it is. And apologies if you can hear my dishwasher in the background. So this morning I decided to get right into writing because I wanted to get some word counts down before I really started my day. And I wrote 440 words this morning, which is pretty good. In the morning, that's like the least amount of time that I have throughout the day. So I wasn't surprised by this number, and I kind of expected it. I did start chapter 45, and I'm now up to 49 chapters. I managed to find a flow pretty early in the morning, and I think it's because I'm finally seeing the end of this book. Because this book is so long, just felt like it's been dragging a little bit. Also because quite a few chapters ago, I started to get a little lost with what I was writing. And now I've kind of tied everything back together. It's a clear shot to the end. And I think that's got me a little bit excited to go ahead and finish this draft. So I am hoping, fingers crossed, that I finish draft 2 this coming week. It won't be today. I've got too much to write still left, but I'm hoping I can finish it this week. This morning I finished up the scene that kind of started the climax, and there's a tiny lull, and then there's going to be like a bigger event happening. And so I just started writing that big event. I expect this to take 2 or 3 chapters. I'm not sure if I'll finish it today. There's a lot of information and stuff that's happening, and I think it's going to take me a large portion of time to do that. I'm currently almost at 96,000 words, so I'm moving right along. I'm really happy with my progress both today and overall. So I've taken some time today. It's currently 2 o'clock. It is a Sunday, and I tend to do my cleaning on Sundays, so I've been doing that in between, hence the dishwasher sound. I did laundry. I'm going to clean some this afternoon, so I will be taking breaks and I won't have the entire afternoon to write, but I am planning on spending the whole evening writing. So hopefully this evening, I'm hoping to get around 1,000 words this afternoon, and then this evening get between 1,000 and 2,000 more words on top of what I've already done. I'm going to go ahead and start writing because, like I said, it's 2 o'clock. I got a little bit of a late start. I also have other things to do, and I would really like to get 1,000 words before dinner. Good evening. I am about to settle in for my last writing sprint of the weekend, but before I do that, I wanted to talk to you about how this afternoon went. I did very well this afternoon. I wrote about 1,200-ish words. I can't remember what my afternoon or my morning word count was, but my total word count so far is 1,650, and I think I wrote somewhere around 400. So that leaves me with 1,200. I met my 1,000-word goal for the afternoon, which is fantastic. I did have a lot of stuff to do. I had to clean, and I decided to go for a walk to get in some exercise, among other things. I knew I wasn't going to have tons of time this afternoon, which is why I set a goal of only 1,000, even though I have like 4 or 5 hours in the afternoon. So tonight is gonna be writing, 100% writing. My goal, I'm gonna set a goal, I think, of 1,500 words. I think that's probably fair. The reason I'm not being a little more ambitious is because what I've noticed in the second draft is it's taking me a lot longer to do words because I'm being more thoughtful about what I'm writing. And especially as I approach the end of this story, I want to make sure I incorporate all the elements that I need to incorporate to tie the story together. And a lot of the things that are going on in the story right now, I literally have made up and decided on in the last few days. A lot of the things that are happening, not all of them, but most of them are things that were not in my original outline. And so I have to really figure out how to write these scenes and these story arcs when I just thought of them. It took me a little bit of time this afternoon, and I'm sure it will take me a little bit more time this evening. But with that being said, I am really excited about where this is going. I really like the scenes that I'm writing. It's so much better than draft 1. It is so much better. Draft 1 honestly was a hot mess, and I was just trying to get through it. Draft 2, it's still pretty bad because it's basically a rewrite, so it's pretty much a brand new story. But I have to say that overall the story flows. It's not shifting directions here and there. Like if I shift a direction in draft 2, it's kind of permanent, and it doesn't really make the first part of the draft contrary. Whereas in draft 1, I was changing things so many times. The first draft, like the first half of draft 1 was totally irrelevant. Now, there are some irrelevant things, but I think it's more of a function of I don't think it adds to the story anymore. It's not like it doesn't make sense, which is okay because I'm looking at a relatively high word count for this novel, and a little bit of things that I can chop off are probably good. All right, it is 7 p.m. I'm going to try and write till at least 10 p.m. That gives me 3 hours, and what I've noticed lately is I prefer stopping around 10 p.m. I used to write till like 11 p.m., but then what I found is it took me like a half hour to 45 minutes to basically pack everything up for the night and get ready for bed and get all settled to go to sleep. And I just don't like that in terms of my sleep schedule. So I've started ending my writing sessions a little earlier, like between 10 and 10:30. And I found that it pretty much gets me in the bed by 11 p.m., which is perfect. So that's gonna be what I want to do tonight, write for 3 hours and write at least 1,500 words. There's a chance I write a little more than that because I'm in the middle of this big action scene. And like I said earlier, when I'm in an action scene, I tend to write a lot more quickly. I will be listening to my music tonight as well, which generally helps me in terms of productivity. But yeah, I'm excited to get into it. This is a really exciting part of the story, and I'm really having a lot of fun writing it. And let's see how far I get tonight. Good evening. I had a very productive evening. I am so excited about it. If I did my math correctly, because I haven't been tracking this, so I'm going off memory, but if I did it correctly, I wrote 2,400 words tonight. And my total word count for the day is just over 4,000 words, 4,076. And my total word count is 99,500. So I am so close to 100,000 words. And my weekend total, so for this entire vlog, which I filmed over the course of this weekend, I wrote 7,900 words. That's also very good, and I'm very proud of myself. I did get to a new chapter, chapter 47. I only wrote a few paragraphs of that before I decided to stop for the day just because of time. I really got in a groove, like I said, because it was the climax of this book. I just got really excited and I wanted to write a lot. I actually updated my chapters when I started chapter 47, or I updated my outline. And I actually combined 2 chapters. So now I have 48 chapters and I'm currently on 47. So I only have 2 chapters left. There's a chance I add another chapter at some point. Because these last 2 chapters of the book are very vague in terms of what I outlined. I just said in this chapter, this needs to happen, and in the last chapter, this needs to happen. And I didn't really plan it out. So there may be a little flexibility in the future with those 2 chapters. But this also means that the next vlog will be me finishing draft 2, which is super, super exciting. This has been the wildest draft. I've had a lot of fun with it. I found it to be easier than draft 1. So what's been a little bit different this time around for draft 2 is I've had a much more difficult time with like the second and third acts, like I guess that in-between space before you get to the climax of the book. And it really was hard for me this time. And I think it's because last time my plot wasn't really solid, and this time it is solid, so I was kind of struggling through my own plot. And I got kind of frustrated because I was like, this is terrible, and it was really hard to get through, but I found like a second wind once I hit this part of the book because everything's flowing. I know exactly where I'm going with things. It's just such a nice change of pace compared to probably the last few vlogs that I've done. I just can't believe that I am almost done with this book. Like, it will be the next vlog where I finish it. Honestly, I can't even think about what it's gonna be like to have finished this book for the second time. I'm gonna go ahead and get to bed, and I will see you in the next vlog when I finish draft 2.